These are the tiny life lessons that I truly think that they will take into their adulthood. Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. So today's video, I'm going to be sharing the 10 things that I do not let my toddlers do. And if you are new to my channel, I have a son named Sebastian. He is 3, almost 4, and a daughter named Margot, and she is 1. I have seen this video going around a little bit here and there in the community. I just thought, that's actually a really fun video topic, and I feel like I have a couple things that I want to add to, I guess, these conversations other people are having with their subscribers under their video. So with that said, I do want to say before we get started, in no way is this video meant to come off as judgmental or shaming or in any negative way. All I plan to do is share with you the things that we don't let our children do. If you allow your children to do those things, it is completely fine. I am 100% a believer that no parent's reality is the same as the next. We are all on our own journey with our children, and what works for us may not work for you, and what works for you guys may not work for us because we don't have each other's children, and no family is the exact same. It's kind of like the Fed is best thing. Do what it takes to survive, and that's how I feel about this. I have decided to share these things with you all because I have had some compliments on how I parent my children, and just in case you want to incorporate something new in your family or just, you know, entertain you by knowing what we do over here. All right, number 1, and these are in no particular order, some are more serious than others, but the first thing I do not let my toddlers do is wear their pajamas all day. And it's a rule that I have for myself, and my whole family has completely embraced it, including Brandon. And it's not even something I had to impose upon him because he agrees with me about this, so that was good. But the rule that I have for myself is you don't have to get dolled up and fancy, but you have to get out of what you slept in the night before. So back in the day, there was a time when sometimes we would just have a pajamas all day kind of day, and that was mainly when Bash was a little bitty baby and I was in the trenches of postpartum depression. And I also think I was slightly being influenced by other mom friends that I had who, you know, did that. But even when I was doing it, I didn't really like it. And now I have found my own voice as a mother, and my kids get dressed every day. We usually reserve pajamas all day to Christmas Day. Sometimes we get matching ones, and it's really fun, and we all wear pajamas on Christmas, and that's it. The only other time I can kind of think of where they wore pajamas, and it wasn't even the whole day, it was just half the day because I changed them at lunch, was when they woke up sick the other day. Other than that, like I said, they get dressed. And the reason why mainly is because pajamas are for sleeping, and once we wake up in the morning, they have served their purpose for the day. They know that their pajamas go in the hamper and they put their clothes on next. And then also because getting out of your pajamas promotes productivity. You get them dressed, and then they may be more apt to going outside and playing or wanting to go on a walk. They know that they're dressed and they are ready to go. I just think it's a signal to the brain like, oh, okay, I'm up, the day is going, we're started here. And then also I want them to take pride in how they look every day. I don't want them to, you know, be in their pajamas all day and then walk past a mirror and see their wrinkled pajamas and think, oh, this is as good as it's gonna get. Like, I want them to take the time to put their clothes on and like what they look like and put their best foot forward for that day and wherever it may take them. And also, I have them get dressed early in the morning because if we have to run errands, I don't want them in their pajamas while we're out in the stores. The second thing I do not let my children do, and that is run my life. And by that I mean I just basically refuse to let my children have complete and utter control over what happens in our home or in my day-to-day life. Think of like those shows like Nanny 911 or Super Nanny where things are just completely chaotic and there's no control over what's going on. Like that show, those shows traumatized me as a kid, and now I'm like, okay, I'm not like some like dictator where we just have to have order at every moment, but like there will never be a time when I just lose complete control. We have set clear boundaries, and they understand more and more every day what we expect of them and what they're supposed to do. And they're still very young, but they know when they're not following the rules. And I feel like pretty easygoing parents, but I feel like we are creating an environment where they know that we are the mom and dad and what we say goes, and they don't get to just do whatever they want. Also, another way that I don't allow them to run my life is I don't give in to their every whim. They do not get everything that they want. And I also don't allow my children to stop me from doing the things that I want to do in life. I know sometimes as parents, sometimes we can easily forget who we were before we had children, and the next thing you know, the only time you're hanging out with another adult is at a play date or at your child's activities, and then we sit back and realize like, I haven't had like a night out or a girls' night or a dinner or something where it didn't involve my children being there. And so I make sure to have time with my husband, time with my friends, especially pre-COVID, where I was doing something for me, and my whole life wasn't about, well, I gotta get Sebastian to this, or I gotta go do this for Margot, or we can't leave because the kids are gonna do XYZ. So yeah, I just am really intentional about making sure that I still have my own life and that the kids understand, you know, how we operate in this family. The third thing that I do not let my toddlers do is use technology without our permission or supervision. And I want to say first, I'm a modern mom. I 100% let my children watch TV, I let them use our phones, and I let them use an iPad. However, they do not have free reign over it. They can't just go on and do whatever they want to on it, and they don't even have the ability to just go get it and start using it when they want to, because we don't keep our phones, and especially not the iPad, in a place where they can just go grab it and play on it. Like, there will never be a time when I just walk into the playroom or their bedrooms and they're just laying with the iPad. If Sebastian, especially because he's older, wants the iPad, he has to come to us, ask us for it, and then if we allow it in that moment, we unlock it and we select the learning app that he wants to play on. He doesn't really play a lot of games. Most of the apps that he plays with are for learning, so it's like ABC Mouse or Kidopia, but we select it for him, and if he wants to play something else, he has to ask for it. And I feel like this is just starting to set us up for the future. At the moment, they don't really care about the internet. I don't even think they really know that searching the internet is a thing. And I'd like to keep it that way as long as possible, because I know that the internet can be such a dangerous place. They can be exposed to things. And I'm not just talking about like predators and things, like speaking to someone creepy online, but I'm also talking about like just seeing scary things. Such a slippery slope, technology, and that's what they're growing up with. And so if I can keep them kids as long as I can, by, you know, limiting how much access to the internet, the iPad, the phones, the TVs as possible, I will. They do not have TVs in their rooms, and I don't see that happening for at least 10 years for both of them. We don't even keep toys in their room. The TV and the toys are all in the playroom. They have access to go to the playroom anytime they want. If they want to watch TV, they have to ask, and we have to approve what they're watching. So there's never a time when they're allowed to watch TV or YouTube without us knowing what they're watching, selecting it for them. YouTube sometimes scrolls in other videos that you didn't plan for them to watch. They do not watch YouTube Kids or whatever it is. They don't even know what that is, because I don't play around with that. On YouTube, if you guys are looking for things, they watch Miss Monica's Circle Time, and they watch Bible Adventures on the Life Kids channel. That's it. Like, I don't let them, especially with videos, it's so scary. I don't let them, you know, watch anything else. And like I said, I'm always in the room. We do have Disney Plus and Netflix, but even when they're watching those shows, like, we're usually in the room. But back to the TVs in the room, as they get older, if they find that they're bored in their room, I want to really foster a love of reading, writing, drawing, coloring, if you will, just more things that don't involve them melting in front of the television. I feel like Sebastian is so easy to get addicted to something. Like, a TV in the room would be just a bad decision. All right, so the fourth thing I do not let my toddlers do is sleep with me and Brandon. And I just want to say, this is something I'm stressing. If you do this, in no way am I judging you. This is just what I don't do and why. If you have your children sleep in your room with you, continue on. It is completely fine. I feel no way about what anyone else is doing. But this rule mainly started when they were babies, probably more so for the obvious reason of being afraid as they were newborns, and then not wanting to roll over on them or have them fall off or have them get hurt somehow in our bed. And then it kind of evolved into, we don't want them in our bed because we don't want them to need us to go to sleep, in the off chance that they are staying at like my mom's or anywhere where, you know, they have to go to sleep that night and we're not there. I don't want it to be like a strain on anyone else. I want them to be able to be independent sleepers. That's another reason why we never really got them used to being in our bed. And now, like, at this point, they don't really even know how to sleep with us. For instance, we were in a hotel pre-COVID, and Bash was in a pack and play, and he woke up in the middle of the night and could see me and Brandon in the bed, and he wanted to get in with us. So I'm like, okay, fine, put him in the bed, it's just once. And oh, that child, it was a horrendous night. He doesn't know how to sleep with us. He doesn't know how to share a pillow. He doesn't know how to just lay there. He kept crawling up underneath me, putting his face down into the mattress underneath my arm. Like, I was worried the entire night. I didn't sleep well. He kept going all the way up under the cover and trying to sleep in a ball. So now the whole night was spent like trying to keep him from suffocating, and it just was too stressful. And some children do really well in the bed with their parents, and mine, I think because we never really started that, don't even know how. I think maybe when they're they're older and much more independent, if when Brandon's out of town, one of them wants to sleep in the bed with me because Brandon travels a lot, fine. But while they're this small, like, we don't play around with the coming into our room in the night or just sleeping with us all night thing. And I think also my children like sleeping in their own beds. Like, I've asked Bash, hey, do you want to sleep here with me, or do you want me to sleep in your room with you, just to see what he would say. And he's like, no, go to your room. And I'm like, okay. Also, I do feel like my bed is kind of sacred. Like, that is me and Brandon's place to do our mommy and daddy things. And I know that if we had one of our children in our bed, it will 100% stop any of that mommy daddy time from happening. And I don't really want that to happen. Like, I want us to be able to do what we want to do in our bed at any time and not have to worry because there's a child in the room. And so yeah, that's another thing. But again, no judgment, whatever works for you. If your children sleep better in your room, like, cool. So the fifth thing I do not let my toddlers do is tantrum out in public or even at home for extended periods of time. So this one is a hard one because I'm sure we have all, as moms, been in a situation where we've been out in public and something sets our child off and we can't get them to stop. I feel like we have two options. Keep shopping as if they're not screaming their head off or running around and throwing themselves on the floor, or stop them in some kind of way. I find myself more on the just remove the child, especially if it's a situation where they just can't get themselves back together. And that is because I find it to be more courteous than, you know, potentially ruining someone else's shopping experience because my child won't be quiet. And also because I know if I allow my children just to keep going and going, I'm going to either get embarrassed or mad, and then I'm gonna end up doing or saying something also in public that will also make us not look that great. And so if that means I have to put my buggy to the side, take them out, go outside and settle them, or go to the car and settle them before we go back in, or we just go home, then that's what I'm gonna do. I don't allow them to continue to do it in the store because I don't want them to ever think that it's okay to act like that in a store. I feel like if I were to allow them to keep screaming and crying in the store, then I'm inadvertently teaching them that it doesn't matter if you're upset, you can just be upset anywhere. So if I remove them from the situation and tell them, like, look, you can't act like this when we go in public, then they know, like, okay, we had to leave, and maybe they'll think twice about it the next time. Granted, they're young, but I think these are just building blocks for the future, which is mainly what this whole video is. It's just stuff to set us up for the future later. Now, the second part to this was I don't let them tantrum for long at home. Like, I definitely give them way more time to get it together when we're at home. Sometimes I will ignore it, but I don't think I fully agree with ignoring tantrums either. I used to do it more when Bash was younger, but now, like, I explain to him what his feelings are, I talk to him about his emotions, and we work through it together, because I don't want him to do it too long at home and then grow up thinking I didn't care about the things that made him upset. Now, sometimes your kids will just be crying over nothing for no reason, and you kind of just have to let them come to it on their own. But I'd rather work through it with my child and talk through their feelings, because they are still children and they don't know any better, and teach them that screaming and crying and falling out isn't the way to get the result that you want. You can feel upset and hurt, but you can't always just act a fool and it be okay. And so that is just something I do. It's such a hard one for parents because the emotions of a toddler can be so up and down and so wild, and sometimes you just got to do whatever you can to survive in that moment. But I just think overall for us, it's better for me to remove them from the situation than have them be embarrassed or embarrass myself. All right, so I think we're on number 7, hopefully. Well, I'll just say the next thing from here on out because I'm losing count. The next thing I do not let my children do is skip their nap time or stay up as late as they want or until they fall asleep. From the time that my children were 12 weeks old, I put them on a schedule. At the beginning, I'm very rigid on it until their bodies take over and just start doing the schedule on their own. But they wake up at a certain time, 8 a.m. at the latest. They go down for their nap between 1:30 and 2, and they go down to bed between 7:30 and 8. It's Margot at 7:30 and Sebastian at 8. And that is all they know. I truly think that they behave the way they do, which is good for, you know, 90% of the time, because they are on this schedule and they get the adequate sleep that they need. The only time I've ever really let Sebastian stay up late is like a holiday, maybe like 4th of July. We got him out of bed to watch the fireworks, and we have let him stay up for New Year's. But if we are in town, local, or someplace where they can get to bed on time and definitely get that nap on time, we 100% do it. I don't schedule things around their nap time. We either do it before or we do it after. There's really never anything keeping us from getting that nap in. Maybe if my children were a little bit more easygoing with their attitudes and things, if they weren't getting adequate sleep, like I would let them stay up later, but I don't even know. I don't think I would. I think that they would still be scheduled regardless, because I also think that my time in the evenings is so precious. I spend that time with Brandon, I spend that time having me time, and I just don't really want my children to run my life in that way. Like, they can go to bed at a certain time and it's fine and it's healthy for them. And yeah, I just don't let them, you know, miss their naps or stay up late. Because it's just unnecessary, really. They just do so much better when they get their sleep. The next thing I do not let my toddlers do is eat candy or drink sodas. And this one's pretty easy because we are not candy people. I don't really like candy, and neither does Brandon. So we're not buying it all the time. It's not really just in the house. After Christmas, I did create a chocolate drawer in my kitchen because we had so much of it, and most of it went bad because I didn't eat it. Growing up, my sister had cavities as a toddler. I think she was like Sebastian's age, and I just remember my mom being so upset because I had never had a cavity. I actually didn't get my first cavity in life until I was pregnant with Sebastian, and my dentist was like, don't take it personally. Most women's teeth like take a little hit when you're pregnant. But like I said, my mom was so upset because my dad would give my sister candy and it was like their thing. And then like, I guess the teeth weren't being adequately brushed, and it's like all of this now for what? The teeth are messed up and now has to go through like a painful filling process over a piece of candy that like you don't even remember eating. Sugar is in every single thing and is very addictive, and my kids just don't need it. And overall, I just really do it for their health. There's just so many other things that they could eat aside from candy that are better. And it's the same thing with sodas. We don't really buy them. If we do have a soda in our house, it is for a specific reason. For instance, we had some, what is it called? 7-Up in our fridge because I made my dad's cake recipe that called for 7-Up, and then the bottle sat there until the soda got flat because we don't drink it. But I think just overall, I don't think my toddlers need to have candy and sodas this young because they can't control themselves. They'll go back and keep eating more, and it just could potentially set them down a wrong path with it later on. The next thing I do not let my toddlers do is jump on their beds or climb up all over our furniture. And that is, one, because they can hurt themselves, but also because I want them to learn that the bed is meant for sleeping, the coffee table is meant for being looked at, the couch is meant for sitting. Those are the appropriate uses for these things that we have in our home. They are not meant to be jumped on and shoot ourselves from them, because we want to keep our things nice. We want to act dignified, and I'm also afraid that if I let them do it at my house, they will go to someone else's house and do the same thing and look like they have no home training. And if I allow them to jump on our furniture and things, it will ultimately wear it down quicker, and we will have to replace it because we weren't using it in the way that it was intended. Also, because I know that if I allow them to jump off of things now, it could potentially make them want to jump from higher things later, like our catwalk down into our living room. And if you're thinking like, oh, that's ridiculous, it's not, because I tried to jump from my mom's catwalk down to our living room. We had a similar type of house. So if I know I did it, then I definitely think my son or daughter might try to do that. So if we can try to teach them now, like, this is not what our things are for, they're not meant to be leaped from, hopefully later they will learn that this is not something we're supposed to do, and ultimately, you know, keep our house as nice as we can for as long as we can, and, you know, keep our bones intact. The ninth thing I do not let my toddlers do, and this one was huge in our house growing up, so that's probably where I got the rule from, is eat all over our house. Meals are meant to be at the table. I don't like bugs. I don't want to attract bugs and ants and things into my house because there's crumbs everywhere. My children will never be allowed to just walk around the house with a little chicken nugget or a fish stick hanging out of their mouth while they're playing with their toys, dropping crumbs everywhere and smearing things all over the walls. Like, it just will never happen. The only place these children eat their meals is at the kitchen table, and occasionally, and mainly only on the weekends, will we maybe let them have a snack at the kids' table in the playroom, and it really depends on the snack. But most of the time they just go downstairs, eat it at the table, and then go back to the playroom. And the obvious reasoning for this is kind of what I said before in the previous one. We want to keep our home as nice as we can for as long as we can. I'm not afraid of messes. My children are allowed to make messes. I don't mind cleaning up after my children, but like, do I really want to spend 30 minutes trying to scrub jelly off of my sofa when they could have just easily ate the sandwich at the table? No, I don't want to. But also another reason why I have them eat all of their meals at the table is because I want them to understand the importance of mealtime. We are not just eating, we are dining. When we are eating all around the house, eating behind the wheel, eating and on the go, we're just eating because we need food in that moment. Dining is when we are sitting down, truly enjoying the atmosphere that we have created with the people around our table and the food that God has given us. We are talking to one another, we're learning about one another, we are having conversations with one another, we are really savoring the food that we are eating and really just appreciating the atmosphere that we have created in that moment. And I don't feel like they will learn the importance of dining if I just allow them to eat wherever, you know, oh, here's a little chicken wing, and they walk off with a chicken wing in their hand. And that is one of the main reasons, aside from, you know, dropping crumbs and spilling things all over the house, we have them eat all their meals at the table. All right, and the 10th thing that I do not let my toddlers do is not use their manners. This is one that my parents were a stickler for growing up, and my school was as well, so it kind of just is ingrained in me. At our house, it is please and thank you. If you want something or you receive something, sometimes there's a yes ma'am and a no sir involved. There is never going to be a time when I call one of my children's names and they can go, what? Or what, mom? Never in their life would that be okay. Like, never. I don't even talk to my own mother like that. Like, I could never imagine my mom being like, Krista, and I'd be like, what, mom? Like, she'd probably still smack me down. And not that I plan on smacking my children down, but what I'm saying is, there will just never be a time when you can't use your manners. There's no reason, and it doesn't hurt you to do it. So starting now while they're little, they are saying please and thank you, and we remind them often if they don't do it. And most of the time Sebastian remembers. He's almost 4 at this point, but we remind him when he doesn't say something that he needs to say. If he wants anything, we say please. We're starting with Margot, and she's so cute. She's like, thank you, peas, when she wants something or she gets something. It's the cutest thing. And I think it's so obvious when you meet an adult that they didn't learn them or they weren't taught to continue using them into adulthood. And I don't want that to ever be my child. I think manners show that you have respect for someone. Manners show that you're grateful for something. Manners show that you are a kind person. I plan to teach Bash to be chivalrous. You walk on the outside, you open the door, you pull out her chair, you take her coat, you take her arm, you don't walk in front of her. All of those things are considered manners too. And with Margot, to her girlfriends, to her male friends, to her teachers, both of them really, I want them to be grateful and respectful and kind. Having good manners will open so many doors for you in the future. I want people to be impressed with them and the interactions that they've had with them. I'm such a stickler for that because I know how important manners are as you get older and go through life. And so yeah, they do not get away with just doing whatever they want and demanding things from us. You have to ask, and then you have to also be grateful and kind. And yeah, those are the 10 things that I do not let my toddlers do. If you have anything that you would like to add that you don't let your children do, please add it below. We'd love to see it. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.